President Obama is receiving harsh criticism after announcing his plan to move toward normalized relations with Cuba. His administration is looking to expand economic ties with Cuba, open an embassy in Havana, and review that country's designation as state sponsors of terrorism. That's an interesting one. The U.S. is also easing restrictions on travel to Cuba, but tourist travel will still be banned. He says the U.S. is ending an outdated approach to Cuba that has failed to advance American interests. But some lawmakers are blasting the plan, including Democrats who are unlikely to go along with the president. That's our topic this half hour, and we wanted to hear from you on Facebook and Twitter. Joining us live in the newsroom is our Roundup panel led by Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritico. Hi, Chris.
Hey, good morning. And before we start, let me just say that we've just received word here in the studio that State Representative and mayoral candidate Sylvester Turner's mother passed away last night. Sylvester Turner's been in the state legislature for 24 years and is currently a candidate for Houston mayor. And our condolences go out to Sylvester and his entire family. The president announced in a surprise move over the weekend that he was normalizing relations with Cuba, and in his announcement said that the 50 years of sanctions have not worked and it's time for a fresh start. As you noted, Hillary, he has received criticism from both sides of the aisle. It's the first bipartisan thing that's happened in Congress in a very, very long time. But the question really becomes, is it time to look at a different approach? Fidel Castro is out, and is it time to look at other options? And that's our topic. Let me introduce our panel. Mustafa Tamiz, our political analyst. Jackie Valley, our public policy analyst. Good morning to both of you again. We were basically the only country left in the world that was maintaining the sanctions that we had against Cuba. At one time, all of our allies supported us in that, and they've all slowly whittled it away. Is it time? It's
time. It's been over 50 years, as the president said. This policy just has not worked, and we need to try a different approach. The relationship with Cuba is not just between Cuba and the United States. It's really with Central America and South America as a whole. I mean, we've got enormous pressure from those countries in saying, normalizing this relationship. And politically, I mean, people will say lots of stuff, but at the end of the day, everyone knows the reason why the sanctions have existed so long is a small group, in Florida. And Florida's been a toss-up state for a long time. So politically, it's been difficult. So the president has done taken a big step. The Pope has stepped in to help with this, and I think it's time.
This is not the first time a president has done this. Nixon did it with China in a surprise move. Clinton did it with Vietnam, an enemy of ours, and normalized relations with those two countries that had been on our list of brutal dictatorships. What's the difference?
The difference is you have a president who has made unilateral decisions without speaking or informing his Congress, and once again he's done that. And so when you have these steps and these moves done repeatedly, whatever he does, even if you may agree with some of his attempts, you're going to criticize him. You're going to accuse him of overreaching. You're going to accuse him of having another foreign policy, a bad move in foreign policy. At the end of the day, what he is proposing does not help to reform or restore democracy back in Cuba, and which is supposed to be our ultimate goal. You have every other country that has been able to have economic policy and economic actions with Cuba, and yet the only one who seems to be getting rich or richer are the Castro family. And even though we had Fidel is out, Raul is still in. So that doesn't necessarily mean that's a new regime. It's still the same last name.
I've got to go to Hillary, but Richard Nixon, in a surprise move just like this, normalized relations with China, didn't tell anybody he was doing it until he did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been historic. But Jackie just rolled out the issue. No matter what the president does, there is a playbook, right, that gets put in. And anytime he does anything, there's a choir that'll come out and attack him for it. This is the right.
Just because in foreign policy, usually if he does it, it's wrong.
Well, it's his right. It's his area, though.
Well, it doesn't mean it is right.
Hillary, let me go to Hillary. She's monitoring our social media.
Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter are wondering on a more superficial note, guys, what does this mean for goods being shipped back and forth to and from Cuba? Say Cuban cigars, of course.
Well, under the new policy, you can bring in $400 worth of Cuban cigars, gentlemen, so there you go.
Legal advice on the spot.
That's right. That's right. The Republicans and some Democrats are criticizing this, as you have, but it is the president's domain, foreign policy, and it is his right to make this announcement if he chooses. moves.
Right, but you were asking why are we criticizing
Right.
it? Because it's not an accurate move, it's not a correct move. Because again, our goal is to restore democracy, and this action, what he's saying, is not just restoring democracy. So. He can do whatever he wants to do, that's president within the Constitution, but at least inform your Congress and speak to some of the dissidents and some of the Cubans who are here in this country, and let them have some kind of input.
We're almost out of time. He didn't talk to Congress. Congress is not going to lift the sanctions. The president can't do that, but he can send an ambassador.
He can't send the ambassador, and he can. The sanctions are. There's always a space in the sanction that says that there is exceptions, and he can grow that exception rule to allow trade, and that's what he's going to do. All of the sanctions always had that exception, and this is the road that most presidents take. And in regards to what Jackie has said, that he hasn't taken input from other people, the Pope has stepped in. And he has, he's taken input from world leaders, and this is something that's long been coming. No one had the political courage to do it. This president has.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. I'm sorry, we're going to leave it right there. We're going to leave it right there. We'll be back next week, wrap up the hottest stories of the week.
All right, thank you. Always love your debates, guys. I appreciate your time.